Hey, wild ladies, welcome to another word of wisdom. Wow. Today, the concept is can, not should. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I learned this years ago by one of my really good therapists. And I had a propensity to do everything that I possibly could. Like banner on my door said, "Do one more thing," and man, that came from so many different places in my life. This idea of if I wasn't doing something, I was wasting time, finding my esteem, so many things that we're going to talk about. Here's where it shows up today. I've had to kind of go back and see whether or not I've fallen off on my healthy living. It's shown up the most in my driving. So those of you who are my driving ladies out there or my passenger ladies out there, whether if you're in a vehicle or pedestrians just trying to cross the street, you have been in this spot where the car is in the right lane. And down here, you can turn right on red. You're sitting in the right lane, the light is red, traffic is going across on the green like bah, bah, bah in clips. And you've got nowhere very important to go. But just because you're in that right lane and know that you can turn on red, there is an impetus, a pressure, a need to make that turn. Nobody sits in the right lane anymore waiting for their light to turn green. And I started noticing that. And I started paying attention because no matter where I was, whether I was the passenger or the driver in that car, I realized that there was a pressure. There was almost a race. Cars are coming and trying to get in and squeeze in just between one car and the next. Or cars are coming and there's only one car left to pass before we can make a clean right. And the need to cut in front of that one to get into that main lane, just absolutely illogical. So I started asking myself why I need to make that right turn into traffic at risk of life and limb when I have nowhere to go but the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is one of the best. Oh, by the way, I know it's up to $1.25, but still one of the best. And I started asking myself, well, what's the pressure causing me to put myself in a dangerous situation just because I can? Some of it is just that idea of I can, therefore I should. It's my right. There's nobody to stop me. The rule says I can turn right on red, so why shouldn't I? And some of us are living our lives wildly. Not wild, just wildly. We're living in that space of I can and I want to, so I will. And there are things that we need to think about when we think about the big C word, consequence. What is the consequence to me choosing to enter that traffic just because I can? Well, one means that I haven't thought about the person coming on that main, whether or not that person is as loose in their mind as I am when I make that right turn. And will they or will they not stop? And there's a presumption that they better stop because I'm the one who's coming into the lane. Whether we say that or not, we've got to stop and realize, am I determining that I deserve to get into traffic more than that person deserves to continue on her way, on her journey without my loose interruption unnecessarily? So if I'm not thinking about my sister on her journey, then it's very likely that I'm going to shoot into traffic and disrupt her path. I've got a responsibility to others on the road. And that might be where I have to stop. Think, am I considering myself more important than everybody else? And I'm willing to risk their lives as much as mine. Pause and reflect. Another thing that came to my mind or my realization is when I am sitting in that right lane and I'm perfectly comfortable waiting, when a car pulls up behind me, I begin to feel the pressure go. I feel like I'm holding them up. They don't even have to toot their horn or make a hello signal to me that I need to go. They might be very fine waiting for me, but I don't feel comfortable with them having to wait for me. I feel a pressure to go whether or not I really need to. I have to start paying attention to what are the pressures that I feel from others that might be making me take some steps, take some risks, make some decisions that are not the best decisions for me, but I do them feeling like I have to because someone else expects me. And then I have to ask myself, what's going on behind that, that it is so important for me to satisfy somebody else and I'm willing to put myself in danger to do it. So that intrinsic, I'm doing it anyway because I can and I want to, is one reason. But that extrinsic, I have to do it because I feel pressure coming from the outside, might be another. There are so many reasons why we end up in dangerous situations unnecessarily, putting ourselves at risk, not really doing what we need to do or what we really want to do, instead of just taking a moment to sit, to pause, to wait our turn, to be ready for the light to turn green. Ask yourself, what's driving you to do the things that aren't the best for you, internally or externally? Get ready to stay at the stop. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now that's wild.